Michael Chasen, the CEO of PrecisionHawk and also the newly appointed Drone Advisory Committee Chairman. Michael.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name is Michael Chasen. I'm the CEO of PrecisionHawk, and as of just 2 weeks ago, I was honored to accept the position of Chairman of the Drone Advisory Committee. And I'm incredibly excited to be here today to talk with all of you about what I believe is happening in the industry today. Because I can tell you that what I'm seeing is unlike what I saw even just a year ago in this industry. I believe that the UAV industry as a whole is at the precipice of taking that next step forward, of starting to see true exponential growth. And I've said this before, I'm someone who actually recognizes these changes in industries. Before joining as CEO of PrecisionHawk just about 2.5 years ago, I was the co-founder and CEO of a large e-learning software company, headquartered not far from here in downtown Washington, D.C. I started it with my roommate from college, the two of us in a brownstone in downtown D.C., and we grew it to be a company of over 3,000 employees with 20 offices around the world. I got to take it public. I was one of the youngest CEOs on the NASDAQ, ran it as a public company for 7 years before selling it for just under $2 billion. And I actually remember back in the very, very beginning, one of the very first things we did was we tried to raise a little capital to get the company going. And I remember so clearly our first venture capital investor, he was doing his diligence on the company. And he called me up on the phone and he said, "Michael, I've spoken with a number of universities about using e-learning software." And I said, "That's fantastic. Who did you speak to? What did they say?" And he said, "We spoke to leading institutions like Georgetown and Cornell and UPenn and Yeshiva universities and others. And they all said the same thing." I said, "What is that?" They said they were never going to use your technology. They said that teachers were Luddites, didn't know how to use the internet, students weren't asking for it, and by the way, it might be illegal to put grades up online. Now, I can tell you that a few months later, we had 300 schools using our technology. A year later, 1,000, and then eventually 30,000 institutions around the world. So clearly, what the industry thought was going to happen was incorrect. There was a mass adoption right around the corner. And I'm actually seeing some similar parallels to what's happening in the UAV space. People are asking themselves, well, is the industry going to take off this year? Is this the year that we start to see that exponential growth because we're not seeing drones flying around outside and maybe the technology isn't quite up to par yet? And by the way, I'm not sure it's necessarily legal for the way that we're thinking about using drones. So these are all great questions and very similar to the questions that we heard before. So what I wanted to share with you today is, I want to reflect on three things. First, I want to talk about what the market wants. What is it that we should be driving for? Then I want to briefly reflect on, well, if we know where we need to get to, where are we today? So we can paint that path forward. And then lastly, what can all of us do? The people in this room, the other companies involved in the drone space, what can we do to help the market get to where it needs to go? And specifically, I'll share some of the things that PrecisionHawk has been doing to help companies move forward and also how we've been involved and engaged in a public-private partnership. So when we talk about what the market wants, there's a very, very famous quote, and it's referred to all the time from Henry Ford. He said, "If I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." Now, this quote is thrown around a lot. The thing is, the statement is untrue. He actually never said that. But it has a great amount of folklore, specifically with the early tech entrepreneurs who love to think that, yes, I'm coming up with the next big idea that nobody is thinking of or has thought of yet. The truth is, if you had asked people in the 1800s, maybe what they were looking for, they might have said an easier way to remove the 40 dead horses a day on the streets of New York. They might have said a way to eliminate the 1,200 metric tons of manure produced each day. Or they might have said some place to stable the 100,000 horses that operated within New York. These are all the questions, these are all the answers to the questions that they might have had if someone had actually done the market research. So they probably didn't want faster horses back at the time. They really just wanted less horse shit. Similarly, if you were to ask people today what they were looking for, they might say, I want my deliveries sent to me more quickly. How can I make that happen? Or they might say, how can I get high-resolution aerial imagery for infrastructure inspection? Or they might say, when are flying taxis going to be available to address city congestion? So these might be the questions that we ask, and these might be the answers that we receive if we were talking to people today about what they wanted. But what they really would be saying is that what they're looking for to enable all of that is they want technology that can keep drones in the air for longer, carrying heavier payloads, and operate safely within our existing national airspace. But at the same time, they need the policies that can support all the use cases we're thinking of for drones today, but also don't limit the ideas we will think of tomorrow. And I think that these are two core tenets of what the people in this room and the people in this industry need to be addressing. So to understand how we get from where we are today to a point where we're addressing those actual market needs, I want to reflect on a little bit where the market is today. It's incredible. If you take a look at the UAV space overall, the military drone market is already a $20 billion market. And they're expected to grow to over $50 billion in just about 5 years. The consumer drone market is a $5 billion market today, expected to grow to over $20 billion in the next 5 years. And yet the commercial drone market is just getting started. So it doesn't take a genius to say, hey, wait a minute. I mean, obviously we're talking about multi-billion-dollar market here, but why is it so? Why is it behind these other two markets? Well, and we all know, prior to August of 2016, corporations could not easily adopt drone technology. It wasn't until the FAA came out with Part 107 in August of 2016 that gave a blueprint that companies could use to deploy drone technology. And so as a company in the commercial drone space, what PrecisionHawk saw was, once that regulation was passed, companies started dipping their toe in the water. In late 2016 and 2017, we saw a lot of pilot projects. We saw a lot of companies taking a commercial level drone, doing some basic stitching of data, some general analysis on that data to see, hey, is this something that's useful? If it's legal now, is it a tool we can use? But then what we started seeing just over the past 6 to 12 months is the fruition of those pilot projects. We have started to see mass deployments of drone technology today in multiple industries that are 6 and 7 digit deal sizes. So maybe we don't yet see the drones just flying around outside when we look out the window, but I can tell you, we are right there on the precipice. So when tech entrepreneurs often talk about that hockey stick curve of growth, or when the people in this room are saying, okay, well, we know drone technology is important, but where are we on this hockey stick curve? We've spent a lot of time in market discovery. We've been trying out lots of new things, different types of drones, fixed wing, multi-rotor, unique drones for specific situations. And we think, well, hey, we're definitely starting to see the growth of this industry. New software is coming out, new uses for the drones. People are trying it in different ways across different industries. So we think we're definitely, at least in the growth inflection point, but when are we going to see that surging growth? When does this conference have not 1,000 people, but 10,000 people? When do we see drones outside the window? Where on the hockey stick growth curve is the market today? So I think you have to overlay that hockey stick on the typical market adoption, the crossing the chasm chart that people often portray or look at when they're saying, hey, where do things exist in the market today? And so when you do that, what you see is that we're obviously, I think we can all agree, through the enthusiast stage, the hobbyist stage. And I think the people in this room who represent leading government agencies and leading corporations can attest to the fact that we are well beyond just the market enthusiasts. And I think we're even past the visionaries, right? I mean, we're actually starting to see this drone technology deployed en masse. I think we're right here. I think we have now crossed the chasm. Now, I'm telling you, not everybody necessarily has seen this, but I believe that I have a unique perspective, both as the CEO of PrecisionHawk, a company solely focused in the commercial drone space, and now in my position as chairman of the Drone Advisory Committee, So I want to share with you this extra insight because I want everybody to be aware that we have crossed that chasm and we're starting to see that exponential growth. And I'll share with you a couple of direct stats that prove this. How do I know that we're starting to see this level of growth, that we've crossed the chasm? I'll share with you some of my personal company stats. Last quarter, we hired 100 new employees in the company. Our average deal size a year ago is $35,000. Our average deal size is now over $1 million. PrecisionHawk is growing at 300% this year. I'm sharing these personal stats with you, not to brag, but to say this is what's happening in the industry. We are starting to see mass adoption of drone technology. And we're not the only ones that see this. PwC put out a report in 2017, and they started to identify the top industries that were deploying drone technology. And what the question was, where do you see drone technology today, and where do you see your spending in just 3 years? And in almost all of the cases, they were growing about 300%. So, and the survey was taken in 2017, so already I think we're at that level of that type of growth. And they really actually got pretty correct, the industries that were focused on deploying this technology earlier. They really, the energy, power, utility companies, closely followed by media, agriculture, and others were the ones that were really leading the fray in deploying drone technology. And that's the exact same that we're seeing. We work with clients that are interested in purchasing drone flight services to use drone technology and advanced sensors to collect a huge amount of data, and then they're using AI and machine learning to turn that data into actionable business intelligence. In the energy space, they're doing it with distribution lines, transmission lines, solar panels, wind turbines, oil and gas. And it's fascinating because what this technology is replacing is we're not going from companies that are using computers to now drones and only getting a minor increase. This is the equivalent of going back to caveman times and suddenly giving them an iPhone. We're replacing visual observation. Maybe a utility company might currently hire someone to walk down the street and identify, to try to just eyeball potential problems with their distribution or transmission lines. And now they're replacing it with high-end drones and sensors, not just visual sensors, but thermal and LiDAR, to get exact measurements, identify all of the assets, and be able to do true analysis of their different components of their utility infrastructure. And that's incredible, because now they have a digital record, they can apply AI and machine learning, and that far surpasses just hiring someone to go and try to eyeball potential problems. We're not just seeing it in the energy market, but in the telecom market. Cell tower inspection, communication lines are all now starting to use drone technology. In the agriculture market, we're using machine learning and AI to be able to better predict yields on farms for different fruits and vegetables and other plants. We can identify, not only can we count the plants, but we can identify the canopy coverage. We can identify where there are potential health problems within their growth. In the AEC market, architecture, engineering, and construction, they're using drones for construction and facility and roof inspection. Not yet using a lot of AI, they're mostly doing just some analytics and modeling. Very similar to what we're seeing in the infrastructure market, infrastructure inspection, digital twinning, and emergency response. But the thing that all 5 of these markets have in common is they're starting to deploy drone technologies in a way that is far beyond the individual drone pilot project. So, if we identified what the industry really needs and where we need to go, and we've talked about where the industry is today, how do we, both as the public and private sector, help the market get to where it needs to go? How do we help develop the technology that can keep drones in the air for longer, carrying heavier payloads, and operate safely in our existing national airspace system? And how do we make sure that we're implementing the right policies that can support all the use cases we're thinking of today, but also don't limit the things that we'll think of tomorrow? Well, let me tell you a little bit about what PrecisionHawk is doing. So, for those of you that know my company at PrecisionHawk, we use advanced drone technology, machine learning, and AI to work with companies to collect business intelligence so they can make better decisions. We now have almost 300 employees. We have a network of over 15,000 drone pilots across the United States and around the world to help our clients collect their data. We've done over 300,000 inspections to date. If there was a who's who of clients that were using drone technology, we would count the majority of them as our clients. And we have some incredible investors, including Intel and DuPont and Verizon and Comcast and Yamaha and USAO behind us. What we do as a company is we have over 150 full-time drone pilots, and as I mentioned, a network of over 15,000. And we work with companies who want to collect data using advanced sensors on drones. We then manage that data and use AI and machine learning to give them actionable business results, and then we integrate it to their back-end enterprise. So as a company, we're helping other companies to deploy drone technology. And there are three key pillars that we do to achieve this. We're focused, 1, on our drone pilot network, 2, on AI and machine learning, and 3, and most important, public-private partnership. Let me explain. With the drone pilot network, we are continuing to hire more and more qualified drone pilots, not just people who are certified in Part 107 and passed the exam and can fly drones, but have gotten additional training in flying transmission lines or distribution lines or cell towers, all of which takes extensive training if you want to properly be able to fly the drone to collect data in the right way. And not just on the visual sensors, but on thermal and LiDAR and ground penetrating radar and other advanced sensors that drone technology can utilize. We actually built our drone program around the same principles used in Navy aviation, because we know that safety is what comes first, especially when you're flying these critical infrastructure assets. But we're not just talking about building up a huge army of drone pilots, we're also trying to automate flight where possible. We've developed a series of applications to make automatically flying wind turbines or cell towers or farms. The pilot can just go, take out the drone, very easily let the drone fly up, use a little bit of augmented reality to then make sure the drone is properly positioned. For example, right on the wind turbine, you can just twist the graphic to make sure the blade is lined up with where the blades have stopped, and suddenly the drone will know exactly how to fly that entire wind turbine, what data to collect, where to take the imagery. And similar for cell towers and farms, knowing the type of crop that you're looking to get information of determines how high we fly, what type of sensor we use. All that's programmed in our app. Very easy to be able to automate that type of a solution. When we talk about AI and machine learning, the reason that actually PrecisionHawk is often hired is because we're the one collecting all the data. We actually kind of have an advantage for being able to take that data and do further training. And we have huge data sets. I have 300,000 images just of wind turbine blades. It's the most boring iCloud collection of photos ever. I never worry about anybody breaking into my iCloud photos. We not only have that, we have hundreds of thousands of distribution photos and transmission line photos, all of which we're able to use to program our AI and machine learning to do 2 things. 1, to do asset identification, but 2, to identify problems that might not otherwise have been caught. And then we've used our expertise in these industries to build AI software specifically for energy, agriculture, and telecom. So whether you're looking closely at a distribution line and images that are taken from aerial imagery of drones and automatically identifying all of the different components on a system and highlighting in graphic colors where there might be problems, or whether you're using it in agriculture to do plant counting and health, the high-end drone imagery and various sensors can then easily be adopted and imported into these type of AI and machine learning solutions that can make a tangible difference in the way our clients are running their business. So that's what we're doing to help companies move forward within the industry. But where we spend an equal amount of time is in a public-private partnership to help the industry itself move forward. As I mentioned, I'm the new chairman of the Drone Advisory Committee. And I believe that one of the most important things that needs to happen is this idea of a more closely related public-private partnership. As the new chairman of the DAC, my priorities will be to work with DAC members to deliver quick and actionable insights and recommendations to the FAA, to identify and tackle the most pressing issues related to UAS integration to unlock industry potential. I want to make sure that all of us are working with the FAA to fulfill its mandate of safely and efficiently integrating UAS into national airspace systems. And also I want to leverage my own personal experience in growing startups into large public companies to help grow the emerging drone industry into a legacy industry alongside traditional aviation. So these are my goals. This is how I look at PrecisionHawk contributing to the public-private partnership. And now this is something, though, that's not new for us. We've been doing this for years. We were a member of the FAA Pathfinder program, where we helped do a huge amount of research and spent 3 years conducting R&D on BVLOS operations to assist the FAA with understanding the risks and mitigations needed to support waivers and future rulemaking around flying BVLOS, whether it was the extended 3-mile limit or with the new report we handed in just about 9 months ago, identifying technology that can be used to let drones fly beyond 3 miles. But we're not just involved on the policy side, because that won't then address the first tenet around technology. We then are taking this work that we've done in the Pathfinder report and turning it into the technology that then meets and works in conjunction with those policies. So for example, we have now spent millions of dollars in developing a drone utilizing the research in the Pathfinder report that we're going to have coming out in beta in just a few months that can do long-range R&D. We've taken technology that can acoustically identify aircraft coming in from 360 degrees up to 10 kilometers away. And of course, sound travels faster than the planes, and in fact, all planes have unique sound signatures. So it lets the drone know not only where a plane is because of the multiple microphones on the drone, but then it can immediately alert the pilot if the drone is in the way of the plane and what type of plane it is, to send that information back to the drone pilot to either maneuver out of the way, or in case the drone pilot doesn't, automatically lower the drone to 20 feet above the ground and hover there while it waits for the aircraft to pass. So as a company, when I talk about us committing to public-private partnership, I'm not just giving it lip service. I'm not just saying, oh, we're involved in the rulemaking committees. We're taking a leadership step in investing our own R&D dollars to help bring these policies to fruition, to show that the technology can be met within the guidelines to move this industry forward. In addition, we're announcing today that former U.S. Congressman Frank Labando, we have appointed as special advisor to PrecisionHawk. He was a senior member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee for more than 2 decades. He served as chairman of the House Aviation Subcommittee from 2013 to 2019, and he was a very vocal proponent of integrating U.S. technology for commercial applications into the national airspace system. And he is going to help advise us how to better navigate this idea of public-private partnership. And we're excited to have him as part of the team. So through these 3 pillars, through building up a drone pilot network, through focusing on AI and machine learning, and then through focusing on public and private partnership, we believe that as a company, we're doing our part to help develop this technology and help contribute to building the right policies that can support this industry taking that next step across the chasm. But for all this to work, we're going to need to all work together, both individually and together on public-private partnerships. Otherwise, it's all just horseshit. I want to thank you for allowing me to come and share my insights to what was happening in the industry, talk about ways in which we might all start thinking about working more closely together, and I'm very excited to be launching the first new meeting of the DAC this week and talking about the next steps that we'll be taking forward as an industry. Thank you very much, everyone.